There is a specific kind of confusion that only happens in one type of relationship. You leave a conversation feeling guilty, but you cannot identify what you actually did wrong. You apologize without being sure what you are apologizing for. You feel responsible for someone else's emotions in a way that is slowly exhausting you. And no matter how hard you try, nothing you do ever quite resolves the tension for long. This is not a communication problem. This is not a compatibility issue. This is emotional manipulation, and it is designed specifically to feel like everything except what it is. Emotional manipulation does not announce itself. It does not arrive with obvious cruelty or visible aggression. It is subtle, consistent, and extraordinarily effective precisely because it leaves the target doubting their own perceptions rather than questioning the behavior of the person doing it. Here are the 7 signs it is already happening to you. The first sign is that you constantly feel guilty without being able to identify a specific reason. Guilt in a healthy relationship is proportionate and clear. You did something wrong, you recognize it, you repair it, and the guilt resolves. Manipulative guilt works differently. It is ambient. It follows you without a clear source. You feel like you are always disappointing someone, always falling short, always somehow responsible for a problem you cannot quite name. This guilt is not a signal that you have done something wrong. It is a signal that someone has been systematically making you feel responsible for their emotional state. The second sign is that your reality gets consistently questioned. You experience something clearly. You have a direct memory of what was said or what happened, and yet the other person remembers it differently. Their version always makes them more reasonable and you more problematic. This is not normal disagreement about perspective. Over time, this consistent rewriting of shared events erodes your trust in your own memory and judgment. You start second-guessing what you know you experienced. And that self-doubt is not an accident. It is the intended result. The third sign is that the emotional goalposts keep moving. You address a concern they raised and a new concern appears. You change a behavior they criticized and the criticism shifts to something else. No matter what you do, full approval never arrives. This is not because you are consistently falling short. It is because the point was never actually your behavior. The point was maintaining an environment where you are always slightly wrong, always slightly in debt, always slightly reaching for something just out of your grasp. The fourth sign is that your feelings are regularly minimized or turned back on you. You express that something hurt you, and instead of acknowledgement, you receive a counter-complaint. Your pain becomes evidence of your sensitivity, your irrationality, or your unfairness. The conversation that began with your legitimate feeling ends with you managing theirs. This reversal is not accidental. It is a pattern that ensures your emotional needs are never actually addressed, while theirs remain constantly centered. The fifth sign is that they use your vulnerabilities against you. Things you shared in trust, your insecurities, your fears, your past experiences, appear later as leverage. Not always aggressively, sometimes buried inside a joke, sometimes framed as concern. But the information that was given in safety is being used in a way that was never consented to, and your instinct to trust begins quietly shrinking without you fully understanding why. The sixth sign is that you feel more anxious around them than at peace. Healthy relationships should add to your sense of security over time. If someone's presence consistently produces low-level anxiety, hypervigilance about their mood, or the ongoing management of how you present yourself to avoid a negative reaction, your nervous system is telling you something important. That feeling of walking on eggshells is not your anxiety. It is a reasonable response to an unpredictable emotional environment. The seventh sign is that you feel more like yourself when they are not around. Your humor returns. Your confidence comes back. You breathe differently. This contrast between who you are in their presence and who you are without them is the clearest possible evidence that something in the relationship is suppressing rather than supporting who you actually are. Here is the deep truth underneath all 7 of these signs. You cannot think your way out of emotional manipulation while you are still inside it. because the manipulation is specifically designed to compromise the very clarity you would need to see it. So here is the question worth sitting with today. When you think about the most confusing relationship in your life, how often do you leave it feeling worse about yourself than when you arrived?